Sci-Fi Christian's Game of Thrones reviews, reviewing episode 3 of season 4, Breaker of Chains. I'm Ben DiBono.
I'm Emily Kirkwald.
And I'm Ben Kirkwald.
And here we are with a very special Easter edition of Game of Thrones. I don't know if there's anything special or specifically Easter about it, but there you have it. Yeah. Alright, what's on the menu tonight, Ben, for smokes, drinks, all that good stuff?
Well, we have your Irish vanilla...
Yes. Irish red vanilla ale. Yes.
Irish red vanilla ale.
Yeah.
And it's quite delicious. We had some in the bottle the other night on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. And it was good, and this is better. It's got more of a creamy head to it.
Yeah, fresh out of the tap, of course.
Yeah.
Right. And then we have a special blend of tobacco tonight from a friend of yours, the Rum and Maple Sampler, which is... delicious.
It
smells very good.
You can smell the maple.
Yeah.
So there you go. Even the non-pipe smoker among us is enjoying
the
tobacco. So who knows? Maybe Emily, this will be the night where she crosses the threshold into pipe, and then you two can go look at tobacco together tomorrow.
That's right. Somebody's gonna. Might as well be the two of us right there.
Yeah.
It's a husband and wife hobby.
Yes.
All right. So. We pick up tonight's episode much where we left off. In fact, exactly where we left off, with Joffrey's bloated, dead face.
Yes.
Which I think we were all happy to see one more time.
Right.
Yeah, I think we all were. I like that they do that. I believe, in episode 9 of season 2 and episode 9 of season 3, they started episode 10, the episode afterwards, directly after the Blackwater and directly after the Red Wedding. Directly after that. And I love that they did that, just because it gets you right back into the mood and you're exactly where you were before. It's not like we're going to go off to Daenerys for a minute here and get you in a different mood. We have the exact same feelings that we left off with. And I do like that they do that after a major event like happened last week. Right.
And in fact, not only just that first shot, but we actually go straight to Sansa escaping with Sir Dantas, who is soon killed by order of Littlefinger. Now, Emily, you said you called this? You predicted this?
Yes, we were driving home last week, and I was trying to figure out who Dantas was working for, and Littlefinger was number 1 on my list.
And I believe I just was silent after.
Yeah, he was.
I was like, well, maybe, but what about these other people?
Yeah. So I was like, oh, but when I saw him, I was like, that was my first instinct. I don't know. He's very interested in Sansa and
the whole
Stark thing, so.
More the Tully line of the Starks, though.
Yes.
Well, yes.
Yeah, and really, as far as he could go without saying it, implicated the necklace as part of Joffrey's death, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Is that what you guys gathered from that scene where he kind of smashed
Although I would have liked to have seen, because in the book, her hairnet is missing a jewel. Mm-hmm. But in both of these episodes, nothing is missing from the necklace, as far as I could tell.
Yeah.
Which is disappointing.
Yeah. But certainly, like I said last week, you were going to get some more pieces to what went on. And at this point, I think that's pretty much all the major ones, unless I'm forgetting anything that's going to come later. So Littlefinger is involved somehow. The necklace is involved somehow. We know that Olenna fingers the necklace. What is Littlefinger's motive here? That's part of what's confusing.
Well, Littlefinger's motive for everything is power.
Exactly.
But I don't know that we can see the path to power at this point.
Right.
Or at any...
I mean, could it be that Joffrey's just too chaotic of a king for him to be successful?
And then we see that in the next scene with Tommen directly after that.
Right.
Where Tommen is just influenced by whoever's talking to him. And obviously this person's right, because I could never be right.
Yeah, Tywin subtly, or not so subtly, probably subtly from Tommen's perspective, manipulates him into, yes, good kings are wise, and wise kings listen to people, specifically me.
Right. And let me tell you about sex.
Yeah, that was...
Oh, okay.
Do you know how to get an heir? Sort of.
Let your
Very
grandfather
straightforward.
just tell you.
That got weird in a hurry. But it wasn't the weirdest thing that happened in that scene.
Definitely not.
So we had a little bit of rape incest over the body of their dead son.
Right. I feel like there's only a touch that's wrong with that.
Yeah.
Or a touch that's right with that.
I mean, you could just... What's the creepiest thing that happened in that scene? It's like you have dead body...
Right.
Dead body who you're related to. Dead body who is your son with your brother who is now raping you. And yeah, he's your brother. Okay.
Yeah.
Most... Well, I don't know if I want to say most, because we've seen some pretty messed up Game of Thrones sex scenes over the years. But that's up there. That one is definitely up there.
So, in the books, correct me if I'm wrong here, but in the books, they are both... I mean, it starts out as kind of a rape thing, but then they both kind of enjoy it. At the end.
That was way more rapey
this
than
was
the book
way
was.
more raping than liking at all.
Which I didn't care for that change. Not only because I'm not into rape, obviously. I hope that didn't need to be stated explicitly. I didn't like what it did to Jaime's character.
He's not that forceful of a character at this point in the storyline.
Exactly.
He's a very, I don't know, I feel like it was more mutual in the book. Mm-hmm. Which was disappointing. But they, in this episode overall, and we'll discuss it as it comes, they took a lot of liberties with a lot of different things.
They did. Yeah, because even in the book, yes, she says no, and he doesn't stop, but it's more, you more get a sense that the reason he doesn't stop is because he knows her and he knows that she really wants it. I really didn't care for that change at all with his character.
No.
So, that got even, they out-creepied George R.R. Martin. Well done, guys. That's a goal.
I don't know. I think some things we're going to talk about later.
That's true. But let's back up for a second, because we missed the conversation between Marjorie and Olenna.
Oh, okay.
Which seems to indicate pretty clearly Marjorie is not in on it.
Right.
She wanted to be queen, and now she's not. Now, it seemed like they're positioning her to possibly go marry Tommen at this point.
Because they agree that they both need each other, but the Lannisters need them more. Mm-hmm. And so she may just get handed off to the next Lannister is kind of what it sounds like here. Because you need to marry, and there's a viable wife here already.
Right.
She's already been through it once. She could really just walk you through it at this point.
Now,
I do like her reference to being married twice.
Yes.
And just kind of stabbing a joke at herself. Where it almost, she's just like, okay, really? I mean, to the reader's perspective when you're reading the first book, and to so far, it's just like, okay, really? Like, really you have two husbands, and really they've both been killed right after you marry them? Mm-hmm. Like, is this really the thing? And she's kind of just
she was married to Renly for a while.
A couple of months.
You're right. It wasn't quite this sudden.
Well, a couple of months being married is not that long either. But
depends on who you're married to.
She seems frustrated, which is a different perspective than you get from the books, which is nice too. Mm-hmm. And than you.
Yeah. What's interesting is that correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Stannis would be next in line for the throne again at this point. Right?
How is that so?
Tommen dies, no more brothers. Want to go to Stannis at that point?
Oh, so if Tommen dies, then it's Stannis.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not that the Lannisters would let that
happen. Oh,
but yeah.
Well, if Tommen dies, I got a feeling somebody's going to be testing the food for Tommen here.
You think? I think they're just going to go to the Vegas wedding chapel this time. Like, let's get this done in 30 minutes and call it good.
Please.
No feast.
And you're going to go consummate it now.
Exactly.
No downtime between the two.
Yes. All right. So then we have the Hound and Arya, which was just another classic Hound Arya scene, where it's a shame that we've only gotten them every other episode this season so far, because I could just watch the whole show of those two. Let's go.
And this is their whole scene that was taking place between the two was, none of it happened in the books.
Right.
And I think throughout this episode, as we get even further in, they took a lot of liberties with it.
There's a lot of
stuff.
But
I love that they did that with it, because I can kind of see where they're going, and I know that they have to kind of extend this out a little bit, because this is only the second half of book 3, and yes, a lot of stuff happens, but yes, a lot of stuff doesn't happen with other characters.
Right.
And so the fact that they're doing this is really good, and I liked what they did with it.
Yep.
So.
Yep. The Hound's great line as they're sitting there through the prayer at dinner. You're gonna do all 7 of the fuckers. That was classic.
Yes,
that was amazing.
That was good.
But that was the funny line. But I thought the far more pertinent line was at the very end of this scene, where the Hound has not killed, but beat this guy up and stolen his silver, and Arya's not happy about it and everything. And he says to her, I understand the way things are. How many Starks they got to behead before you figure it out?
Yes, I believe I sucked in the breath there.
Yeah. And it's like, because that is the trajectory of Arya's story. I mean, of all the Starks, she gets it far more than the rest of them have.
Right.
And now she's being pushed that much farther by the Hound.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But part of what's really well done with that scene and that line is that, we're kind of on Arya's side at the beginning of the scene, where, he just did this awful thing to these people. And that sucks, and it was wrong. But then on the other hand, what he says is right. These two aren't going to survive, and this is not the type of world where you are going to last very long if you leave good silver behind as you're tromping through the countryside.
Right.
And so it's one of those great scenes that I think Martin excels at. Like you said, this wasn't in the books, but shows that they've kind of picked up the tone and philosophy of the books that forces you into a very fascinating moral position as a reader, or in this case, a viewer.
Right, where we get so many, you shouldn't beat them, but they're going to die, and this silver is just going to lay here for 100 years until somebody finds it again, so what's taking it a couple months early worth it?
Exactly.
It's kind of like one of those... Yeah, it's in a really gray area, and that's what Martin excels at, obviously, in the books.
Yeah. So you live in a very ugly world within the context of the novels. And being naive about that may be honorable, but it gets you killed.
Ned Stark.
Exactly.
Exhibit A.
Exactly. Up at the wall, then, we have some stuff with Sam and Gilly, where he takes her on down to Molestown. Now, does he do this in the books?
No, he doesn't.
I didn't think so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, this whole thing never happened in the books. Mm-hmm. I do not...
But he does bring her to the castle.
Yes. And she lives at the castle, and it's just whatever.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see how they bring this full circle.
Yeah, I mean, it seems just based on the trajectory that these types of storylines tend to take, that, eventually they'll make up and she'll be back at the castle or something like that. But yeah, I thought it was... I was fine with the addition because it does show more of Sam's character. He certainly is less naive following on the lesson of the Hound and Arya. That's like, well, you've rescued this girl, but now you've got her into a place where you cannot protect her, both for reasons of your vows, but then also if you try, every single one of the, probably even Maester Aemon could kill him, or Aegon, or whatever the old guy, Aemon could kill him, and so you bring your, not girlfriend, but as close to it as Sam's likely to get in this life, to live in a brothel instead. And so I think it's continuing kind of on that theme of bad choices you do because of the realities of your world.
Right. And I like that he recognized it, too. He said, well, I can't stab him in the back because they're my brothers, like he did with the White Walker. And I can't run away like we did at Craster's Keep because that would be breaking my vows.
Right.
And I like how he acknowledges the fact that he can't do the two things that he is capable of doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and it really shows his character's growth over the last few seasons because Sam is a coward, but yet reasoning his way through that takes a certain kind of courage that he exhibits, even though would be absolutely hopeless in battle. You know. Stannis and Davos. It seems like there's a lot more tension between these two than there was in the books. I don't.
Yes, but I like it.
Which, it seems like they're gearing up for some kind of subplot involving the Iron Bank that would be in addition to what was in the books.
I like what they've done with them because we don't get a lot of the backstory between Davos and Stannis in the books. It's very, this is what happened, move on. This is what happened, move on. Every time we get to a Stannis or a Davos chapter. But I love having Stannis' daughter teaching him how to read.
Yeah.
I love them having this tension back and forth and writing a note to the Iron Bank.
Yep.
And actually being able to see the background to the storyline here.
Yep.
It's really cool, and I like the way that they did that they kind of wrote it in there.
Yes.
I thought it was really good.
We know we are going to see the Iron Bank this season because
are we?
Mick Gaddis from Sherlock and Doctor Who fame has been cast as one of the officers of the Iron Bank.
Really? That is going to be... I'm excited.
Yes, for those of you who might watch the BBC Sherlock, he plays Mycroft Holmes. So we'll be seeing him, no doubt, in future episodes this season. You mentioned the reading lesson, and she makes a crack at him about pronouncing Knight Knigget. Okay, is that just me, or is that a Monty Python reference right there? Were they referencing Monty Python on purpose?
I've only seen Holy Grail.
Okay, yeah, it's from Holy Grail.
Well,
it's when the French guy... Okay.
I saw it when I was 10 years old, like everybody else.
Right.
So...
Oh, man, you need to watch more Monty Python. So, yeah, it's the scene where the French guy's mocking them at the beginning from the castle, honey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. So, I have to want, is that a deliberate Monty Python reference? I'm going to believe yes until I find out otherwise.
But didn't Davos actually say that when he was reading the thing last season? Because we just watched the season before this, and he did say that.
So it's two Monty Python references.
I don't know.
Yeah. Could be from that.
Somebody was bored 10 o'clock at night, and they was reading Monty Python whilst writing the script.
There you go. The Oberyn orgy, speaking of added scenes.
Oh.
That was fun.
And yet...
oddly hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't understand who the woman is with him.
Okay.
Or does it matter? But is that like his wife?
No, that's
just
his
a
mistress.
Girl. Yeah, she's his mistress, his paramour. She is a bastard. So her name's Illyria Sand. Sand is the equivalent of snow.
Okay.
Down in Dorne.
It's like Shay to Tyrion, but it's okay to have Shay around.
Exactly. Down in Dorne, they're a bit more open-minded about those sorts of things.
Clearly, when the prince is okay sleeping with men and women.
Yeah.
And having Tywin walk in the middle of it.
And he's just like, yeah, whatever, that's fine, yep.
Yeah. So...
must be... I'm not going to say nice, I'm going to say interesting.
It must be nice having Tywin walk in while you're having an order.
You knew it was going to happen. At watching that scene, I was like, somebody's going to walk in. Like, we knew it was going to happen because it happened 2 episodes ago.
Mm-hmm.
But jeez Louise. This poor guy can't just let him be.
Yeah. Now, that was a fascinating scene, and one that, again, we don't have in the books, but I really enjoyed Oberyn and Tywin going at it a little bit.
I didn't feel the tension as much as I thought I would between the two.
Mm-hmm.
They were both a lot more cordial than I think I thought they would be when they met.
Yeah.
But now it seems like Oberyn has his eyes set on the mountain at this point. He's like, you know what, Tywin? I get it. That's fine. I want the mountain instead.
See, I don't think he buys Tywin's line at all.
Well, no, he doesn't buy it at all. But he's just
Tywin's out of his reach.
Yeah,
he can't get Tywin.
He realizes that he cannot. It's not capable. But I know I can do this, and he says that in that line.
Right.
Where he says, I could just slit your throat. And he's like, no, you couldn't because there would be a whole trial and all that.
Right. Yeah, so obviously big things coming between Oberyn and the Mountain, and I think the less we say of that at this point,
yes,
the better. Tyrion and Pod. We see inside Tyrion's cell for the first time. Which, if I remember correctly, in the books, Tyrion was down in a black cell.
I don't
No?
remember. I remember he was in a cell. No.
No? Okay.
I pictured it almost exactly as it was in there.
All right.
So,
and Pod's smuggling skills are apparently quite advanced, and I just got, where was he putting that stuff? Like he was pulling, it's like, here's the sausage. I don't know if I'd want to eat that.
Well, if you're desperate.
Well, that was a great scene. The way Tyrion really just tells Pod to betray him. And Pod is such a fascinating character because he's such a moron. But yet there's this endearing love between them.
He's so loyal.
Yeah. And there's such a tragedy about what's going on now because you see Tyrion now, Bronn won't come to him or can't come to him. Pod is, he tells him, this is it, we're done. Right. Shay's gone, and so all of Tyrion's world is, exactly. Yeah. He has nobody who's going to testify for him.
Right. And yet, you see in his eyes and you see in his face, like he's like, the wheels are turning.
Yep.
And he is trying to figure out something.
Yep.
And so I love that kind of never give up attitude from him, where it's just like, things are going to happen, like I'm going to figure this out, I'm going to put 2 and 2 together here, and this is how it's going to work, and I like that he does that.
Right. So, I think at this point we're all pretty sure Tyrion didn't do it. Okay?
Right.
So...
it's way too obvious, yeah.
But he's a very convenient scapegoat.
Right.
So, Emily,
yes.
Put you on the spot here.
Oh.
Does Tyrion... How does his trial go?
Well, I don't think they're gonna... Well, I hope they don't kill him, but I don't know. People I want to not get killed a lot in this show. But... Okay, I think Jaime's gonna come testify for him. I hope he does. I hope he has at least somebody on his side. But Tywin is judging. Mm-hmm. And Tywin would judge against Tyrion.
Yep.
And then Mace Tyrell, which I barely saw for half an episode, but sounds like he's just a buffoon who's just going to follow Tywin. Mm-hmm. So there you go.
So things are not looking good.
Things are not looking good. But I hope his sentence isn't death, but I mean, I don't know what other sentence they would have in the show, so...
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get off.
I don't think you get to kill the king and just have life in prison.
Right.
I don't think that's quite how it works.
No, but I hope... I don't know. I'm hoping that he gets judged guilty, but then there's some kind of clever escape that Tyrion can do. Like, Jaime's going to help him somehow escape.
Interesting.
All right, we'll see.
That's my hope.
But you think as far as the trial goes, he's done?
I think he's done. I think, they're going to judge him guilty.
We will see.
We shall see.
Then we have some stuff in the north again with Ygritte and the raiding party, which I'm not sure how much I care for
with this storyline.
Yeah.
I am. The Ygritte storyline.
I didn't
just get to the climax.
Let's go.
I didn't really see why we need her after she left.
Well,
I guess I don't see the big. I haven't read, so I don't know what's ahead.
You don't really, but I feel like there's one thing left, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mm-hmm. There's
Exactly.
one thing, and then we're done. And I feel like we just need to get to that thing, but we've got a while, obviously.
Yeah, so they're gonna.
That'll
Probably
Around
6, 7.
cities.
Yeah.
I would say
Whatever.
9 even.
No, because anyway, we can postulate off
We
there.
can debate what all these episodes will be about. Yes.
Right. But then back at the wall, and I was glad that we did go to the wall because I was really worried we were going to have to follow this obnoxious kid's journey to the wall through 2-3 episodes, because I hate when kids show up in stories, and especially when they're just writing in some dumb kid who has to go bring the news to Castle Black. It's like, oh gosh. It's, knowing we were at the end of the episode, I'm like, oh man, this is the last we're going to see of him this week, and then it's going to be the next week. We're going to have to pick up his storyline and see how sad he is. It's just going to be painful to watch. But thankfully, no!
See, I didn't think that at all,
So we find out that Jon actually makes the right decision. They can't afford to go out raiding. But then again, something that's not in the book, they are going to head back up to Craster's, apparently.
Yeah, and I like it.
Maybe that's another thing to space things out till we get to some of the action.
I like where it could go. I have a vision of where it could go, and I like it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I think it'll be good. I think, because there's a lot of stuff leading where I don't like it in the books.
Yeah.
Where it gets a little tedious.
Sure.
And so...
Yeah, I think it's one of those changes where it's more an addition than a change, because for those of us who have read the books, the end result for the storyline this season at the Wall isn't going to be any different than it is in the books. We're still going to arrive at the same place. We're just taking a additional detour on the way there.
And I don't think that,
Then finally this week we have Dany finally arrives at Marine, and I hope we all like Marine because we'll be here for a while. Long time.
Uh-oh. She's not just gonna take her free slave.
I'm not saying anything more than that. I'm just saying I hope you're enjoying Marine.
They did a nice job with the set.
Exactly. They put some money into this one.
Thank goodness.
Yep. But this was a good scene. We quite literally had a pissing contest between the Marine champion and
I mean, I think the Marine champion won actually. So
he did have the a harder stream, so to speak.
Yes.
And his out of focus Johnson on the screen.
Yeah, I think it was somebody's hand. Not sure.
I don't think that was somebody's hand.
I think that was somebody's hand. I hope it was.
Likely a prosthetic, but anyway.
Alright, anyways. It's not worth debating.
We'll have to watch the making of specials to find out.
I like the books version better. I did. Because it had, in the book, if I recall correctly, I don't even know if it happened at Marine. I thought it happened at Yunkai, where they brought their champion out. It could have been either or. They brought the champion
out. One
of
those slave places.
And the other person, started with a B, Bulbasaur.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
No, just, what was...
Strong Belwas.
Strong Belwas, Bulbasaur, yeah.
So, yeah, in the books...
there's an extra character.
What's his name? The old guy who was, the guy who used to be the Kingsguard. I'm blanking on his name. Sir something or other.
Ballister.
Barristan the Bold. Sir Barristan has a companion named Strong Balwas, who is this ultra-fat guy who's just like this insane killer.
Right, because he lets every person that he fights cut him one time.
Yes.
And then he's like, alright, that's good, and then just, like, destroys them.
Yep.
And so he lets this person, this champion, come out and, like, cut him one time, and then it's just like, alright, that's enough, and just, like, cuts his throat. It's just like, whatever, we're done.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they did a good job, but I guess I miss Strong Belwas in general.
Yeah,
More so,
agree.
I mean, I thought they did a good job with the scene.
Yeah. It certainly did a lot to, again, move Dario from romance, novel model.
Right, into a badass killer.
Exactly.
And I liked what they did with the arrows, when the arrows came afterwards.
Yeah.
The fact that they landed all in front of them was just like, oh, okay, good, they landed all in front of them. But thinking more into that, somebody thought of that. And I want to know who was like, we need to stand exactly this far away in order for the arrows not to reach, and know that Dany is listening to all of the guidance that she has. I think it gives us a different perspective on a wise king, as it were, that Tyrion or that Tywin is talking about, where you need to listen to your counselors, you need to listen to your advisors, and Dany doesn't send any of them out. She sends somebody out that she just kind of has in her army, kind of a deal.
Yeah.
And I think that this episode represents her perfectly of what her main cause is.
Exactly.
Freedom for slaves, and then just listening to others and trying to be the good, just, wise king or queen.
And hopefully bringing her dragons to Westeros someday, George. We'd really like to see that. But in the meantime, here we are at Marine. Good old Marine.
Good old Marine. Good old Marine.
I did like that the catapults fired the broken chains into the.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure what they would fire. I wasn't.
Yeah.
I was thinking heads of people from Yunkai. I was thinking something along the lines of the people, because they had to pass 163 of those dead people every mile marker. I was thinking something from them.
Yeah.
But I like that it was the chains. It was good.
Yep. Yeah, they seem to be into putting Dany's stuff at the end of episodes lately, both extending back to last season and to this season. I know we saw a little bit of her earlier in the first episode. But it seems like the meat of Dany's stuff is coming at the end, which I think I kind of like. It feels like a nice, because it is so far removed from the rest of the story.
Right.
Yeah,
still
and it's kind of like, well, this is still going, and there's a long way for her to go.
Right, she's not a part of the main storyline yet.
Exactly. Though we did get that line from Tywin this week about how
he's aware that she's there with her 3 dragons.
And that was good. That was a good addition.
Yeah.
Because Tywin would be aware of something like that.
Right.
And he is thinking towards the future. So going back to that scene, I really, really like that they added that in. Because, and I don't think it's really, you don't really feel it in the novels, but you don't get moments like that outside of the first book where Robert and Ned are debating about whether or not to send assassins to go kill her.
Right.
After that, it's like, well, we just kind of forget about her.
Right. And I like that they're still consciously aware of her. Yeah, it's nice.
Maybe that was the showrunners being like, George might have forgotten, but we haven't. Yeah. The dragons are going to come someday.
I liked, last episode, we saw them flying over the Red Keep. And that was George's episode, so
you're hopeful. Hope. Maybe he was writing about them being in Westeros that day.
And he showed the scene with the winter over the Red Keep that was just I have hope. I have lots and lots of hope.
Watch, we'll go find some blog posters and be like, they added that crap, and I'm good.
If I find that, then that's alright.
Yeah, exactly.
At least I know then.
Alright, so any other thoughts on this episode? Kind of a transitional one after last week's excitement.
Right, I mean, last week's was just kind of it. I love that this week that they added a lot of their own stuff, and I felt like they really have, whoever's writing the episodes, I don't know the writers, but whoever's writing them, I feel like they've really found the groove that George R. R. Martin has. And these added scenes, I feel like, could be approved by almost every book reader, being like, oh yeah, this could actually happen in the book, and this is, this is totally where this storyline could have gone, and, just the characters playing off each other and stuff. I feel like it's really good.
Absolutely. And I think we agree, kind of the one addition we're not crazy about is, let's just get Ygritte too. We don't need to see her again until we get to Castle Black.
And Gilly. I'm bored of that character as well. I don't know. She'd go away for a while. That's
but
fine.
I like that Sam's a very caring guy and he has a girl.
Wow, go watch Downton Abbey.
That's why you're a woman, dear.
That's right. Alright, so that's it for this week, I suppose.
Yeah.
And, gosh, we're almost a third of the way through the season now already.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Can't stand it.
Yeah, but we will be back next week. But for now, this is the Sci-Fi Christian's Game of Thrones reviews. I'm Ben Gilly.
I'm Emily Kirkwood.
Ben Kirkwood.
Goodbye.